Right, last one today, possibly the last one ever, but I have said, you know, I've thought that before. I've made, you know, about 5 videos since then, so we'll see. Alright, last one today, going back to another of the controversial subjects that I touched upon. I'm going to move a little bit actually, because it's also getting a bit stagnant sitting there in that spot. Right, another of the controversial subjects that I touched upon yesterday was the dude Julian Blanc, and who's probably a dickhead, you know. I've got no doubt that the guy's a dickhead, and you know, he is a sleazebag probably, you know, or whatever criticism you want to make of him. He probably is misogynist, you know. But my point about it is that you shouldn't, you know, censor people's speech, you know. You really shouldn't do that. I mean, you shouldn't censor anything really. Now, what this is coming back to, the reason I'm saying this is because I would want to tie it in with something else that's, you know, quite spiritually important for the world, I think. Recently we had a thing, last week or so, there was like a face-sitting at Parliament Square. Yeah, which actually, the face-sitting in Parliament Square, right, it got more media coverage than the Occupy London group that were there for 9 days campaigning against capitalism. Yeah, so that shows you where the fucking media are at. Yeah, if it's about sex, yeah, we'll report it. If it's about changing the world for the better, but you know, derogatory against our benefactors, you know, our corporate bosses, then no, we won't go near it. We won't report it. But anyway, it was in the newspaper about mass face-sitting. Now, what is a mass face-sitting about, I hear you ask? It sounds like fun, right? That was about some new pornography laws that have been brought in. Basically, about a couple of weeks ago now, I think it was, you know, a couple of weeks ago, the British Board of Film Classification, Censorship, whatever they're called, they made it illegal suddenly out of the blue to make certain types of pornography in this country, and it included face-sitting, which seems fairly harmless. You know, it can suffocate you apparently, is the danger of that. Includes like slapping and choking, bondage at various levels, all that, you know, which is, you know, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Do you know what I mean? Is my attitude about that, right? But also ridiculous things like abusive language. So if you know, he's like, oh, take that, you fucking slut. I don't know, that's illegal now apparently. And what's the other thing? Oh, female orgasm, right? That's really weird. Why? I don't know what the problem with that is. It don't really make any sense to me at all. But anyway, these things have come in. This law's come in, and of course there's mass protest about it, because what consenting adults do among themselves, and consent to be filmed and distributed, and what consenting adults want to watch, you know, it's a bit similar argument to the drug thing. It's like people should just be allowed to do what they want to do. What harm is it to others? Of course, the argument is that it does harm others. You know, children could watch these sort of things, which they can easily now because of the internet. You know, they can watch all types of pornography. And, you know, they need to be protected from that, apparently. Well, you know what? I actually agree with that, right? I do think that that is true. And I do think that it is really fucking, you know, it's really contributing to the erosion of society, actually. It will do in the long term, anyway. That basically any kid now can fucking turn on the internet and bang, in 5 minutes they're watching double penetration, fisting, fucking water sports, do you know what I mean? Like, and they shouldn't be able to do that. And, you know, just well, at this point, I don't think they should be able to put a copy of Grand Theft Auto in their machine either, and, you know, kick the shit out of an old woman and then rob a car and then shoot a policeman. I don't think they should be able to do that either, really. But they can do that. And I do think that these things of, you know, this being able to watch kind of extreme pornography and play games like Grand Theft Auto, I do think that they're really creating a generation of desensitized, incompassionate, you know, potentially dangerous people. I do think that that's true. Now, I don't think that censorship is the answer, right? Well, look, how do we define censorship? Maybe it is the answer, because what I'm going to say is that basically what we need is for media groups, media organisations, corporations, things like that, to refuse to sell these things. You know, that's what we need. Not to tell people you can't do or think or be who you want to be, but to actually say, look, if you like all that stuff, then go and sort it out yourself. I'm not going to provide you with it. You know, that's what we need, right? And I can't understand. Well, I know exactly why we don't have that. Yeah, that's all it's about. That's all anything is about in this society, to make money, and they don't give a fuck about the consequences. Because I'm going to tell you, right, I grew up, I've spoken recently, in these last few videos, I've touched on my sexuality, and there's a lot of that I, you know, don't want to talk about, really, because it opened me up for criticism, you know, and it's like, it has been a problem for me in the past, you know, it has been a problem, and, like, I wasn't born like a sexual deviant, you know, but throughout my life I developed, you know, certain fetishes and things like that, and I got those absolutely totally from the media. Do you get me? That is where you get these ideas from your external influences. This is where you learn. I mean, this shit that you wouldn't, who would ever have thought about putting their fist in someone's arse? Do you know what I mean? Who would ever have thought that? Unless they sort of saw a video once where it happened, and then they started thinking, they seem to be enjoying it, you know. Like, you know, I'll give an example. Some of the pornography that I've watched, it involves, like, you know, slapping the woman, choking her, and this woman's like, yeah, fucking hit me, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's all consensual, and it's all, but she probably is like, she's just doing it for the money, isn't she? She might be doing it to feed a drug habit, and what it's doing, the effect that it's having on me is stirring me up, making me into some sex-crazed individual, which, you know, probably a part of that is nature, you know what I mean? Because it's all men are sex-crazed individuals, as I said the other day. Because if we weren't, then the human race would die out, you know, and that's the nature of the beast. But it don't mean you have to fucking sell it everywhere, and you have to put it on television in every magazine and everything on the street, and, you know, encourage, like, girls to dress in this way and all that. It don't mean that. None of us are necessary in society, you know. We could, you know, we would be attracted to women, whatever, you know. Women will be attracted to men, whatever. We don't need to package and commoditize, is it a word, to make sexuality into a commodity. We don't need to do it, and it's been gone far too long in this country, in all the countries, you know, in all the world, and, you know, that is a problem. And what it is, basically, this is the really important thing of what I was going to say. I grew up very, you know, obviously in comparatively liberal circumstances, and I have liberal ideologies, and I always thought, you know, what's the problem with pornography? There's nothing wrong with it. And I've watched a lot of pornography, do you know what I'm saying? I've fucking watched a lot of it. That's only this morning. And, it's fucking... But I realise now, as I'm older, that is really contributing negatively towards my psyche. And that is happening on a grand scale, to be honest. And, you know, that's happening to kids that can just turn the internet on and just think about anything, and they think that's normal, you know, because when I was a kid we didn't have the internet, So it's like occasionally you saw a porno mag that somebody had like stuffed in a bush somewhere, and everyone around the age of 30 or 30 to 40 is going to know this story as well, right? Because it will be the same for you wherever you come from, right? Somewhere, probably somewhere near your school, in a park or something, or in a field near your school, someone will have stashed some pornography, and you and your friends have discovered it by accident, and that's probably your first introduction to pornography. I'm telling you, that's happened to everyone, at least where I come from. So anyway, but now it's just like bang, click online, you know, fucking pissing, eating shit, probably whatever you can find. They're doing it online, and if people want to do that, it's up to them. And I've always had this kind of liberal attitude, but actually I think that it's wrong and it should be discouraged. I don't think it should be censored. You know, I don't think I don't think you can tell people what to think and how to behave. But I think that companies have some kind of responsibility to maybe not make money from this. To not breed this kind of sickness within society, and I really believe that, and I'm still, you know, you see, again, this is a complex idea because I still like enjoy watching pornography, and I will still continue to watch it because that is just, you know, maybe it's a weakness about myself. Well, it's an addiction, isn't it? It's another addiction that we are just piled, you know, addiction upon addiction is just piled onto us in this society, and we're there with our mouths open saying give me more all the time, and it needs to change. And to come back to this point, you know, the media to fucking, you know, the media to demonise someone like Julian Blank for a situation that they have completely created is preposterous, you know. That's it. I think the point's been made, hasn't it? Now we need to eradicate this kind of thing from society, to be honest, and I'll be sorry to see it go. Do you know what I mean? I'll miss porn when it's gone, but it does need to go, and we got to admit that to ourselves. Yeah, because this was the important part, because we can grow up in a liberal society and be aware of freedom of expression, freedom of choice, and think that something like this does no harm. Why not keep it? Why not hang on to it? But we got to really look at the bigger picture and say maybe it does do some harm, and maybe it shouldn't exist. And the answer is not censorship. It is not criminalising people for humanity, criminalising people for sexuality, but the answer is withdrawing financial incentive. Again, we come back to it. Money, the root of all evil. Money-free society, going to solve all our problems. Right, you're bored of me now, aren't you? I can tell already. That's it for today. Is it for forever? I'll probably find another reason to make a video in the coming future. But for the time being, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Goodbye.